Hey there, Odessa here, Doctor of Natural Medicine, and I wanted to talk to you today about how I naturally treated and eliminated a 19-year-old injury. And so I want to start off by saying that scientifically, every chronic illness developed slowly and worsened over time. Okay, so the longer you wait to get to the source of your issue, the worse that it gets. Let me repeat this, okay? Scientifically, every chronic illness that is developed slowly worsens over time. So the longer you wait to get to the source of it, the longer it takes to get rid of it. And the longer you wait, the more the problem grows. And this is the start of settling and dealing with your chronic illnesses, okay? And so a lot of us tend to think that this is okay. A lot of us think that it's okay to allow the problem to build up to the point of it blowing up or being almost ready to completely alter your life. This is not normal and it's not okay. But I must admit that sometimes we are not aware. Sometimes we are not aware that this is the problem or that this is what is causing the problem, and sometimes we're not, right? So I want to also keep in mind that there are people who are unaware of what's going on. Psychologically, the flame of hope can dwindle because we've built up so much disbelief that you can fix this on your own or that there is a solution that can work. And this is especially true for a lot of women that I work with, particularly Black women, because of a fear that we have for going into the hospitals, based off of recorded, documented experiences in the hospitals with doctors. There is a deep distrust that many people, many women, and many Black women have when it comes to going into the hospitals. But the good thing is that there's finally some more light and attention that's being shown on the racial disparities in the field. Some of the racial disparities would be anesthesiologists not giving enough medication to C-section patients, or not giving patients the medication that they need after pregnancy, or not, just these kinds of things. I know for myself, I've also experienced a couple of these different things. And when I meet with postpartum, post-surgery, clients who are in chronic health conditions, they're usually in a lot of pain because they're not receiving the help that they needed. And sometimes they're not receiving the help that they needed because of the racial disparity or the bias that the primary caregiver is giving to the client. And so you don't know that this is what you're dealing with. And so you're wondering why you're living with this illness, why nobody believes you, or why you can't seem to get beyond the point that you're at. And so this is why my mission is so important. I cannot sit back and watch more women like you, and the women who you may serve, right? Because there's more to life than this pain. Okay, and right now you're missing out on what life can be like. Example, there's less stress. There's access to the energy to start to align and manifest what it is that you actually want. There's seeing the positive changes in your body when you've actually started to pinpoint what's really wrong. There's the freedom to know exactly what to do to take care of yourself. There's that deep self-nurturing. There's a high level of alignment with how you're feeling and what you've been experiencing. There's better timing for the actions you take in your life because you're more attuned with when things work best for you. Okay. I've already shared my client's story, but I want to share a little bit of my story with you and hear how I discovered that I just couldn't rely on medical practitioners. And it actually started in my late teens when I was beginning to figure out ways to soften myself and connect with my femininity because I was a serious tomboy. It was hardcore. I had the sweatpants. I had it was just all of the things. And I had my daughter in my 20s. And I started experiencing sharp pains in my pelvic floor as I went into my fourth trimester. I told my daughter, I spoke to my doctor and I told my doctor, and his first response was to ask if I had played sports or assumed that it was something like that. He didn't ask me any questions about my health. He didn't ask me any questions about previous injuries. He just asked if I played sports. And when I told him that I played sports in high school, he said, well, that's where your pain comes from. You probably pulled a muscle. And so that was it. So I lived with my pain for the year, like I mentioned. The good thing was I was exposed to natural practices over time because at that time I had actually begun studying naturopathy. I began studying all of the herbs and the healing and the organ systems and the foods and the nutrition and the amino acids. I began studying all of this, and so I was exposed to it, and so I discovered all of the other therapies on my own, working with osteopaths and physiotherapists and massage therapists and cranial sacral therapists. I was introduced to therapeutic movement. I was introduced to traditional womb healing as well as yoni steaming. And so, with time and with application, not just time, but application of these therapies, I was able to stop the pain that I was feeling in my pelvic floor. Now, the other thing that I also wanted to mention was when I was a teenager and I was in that process of trying to connect with my femininity, the other thing that I was dealing with was really difficult, painful, heavy, long cycles. And they were also irregular. And I understood this because of an injury that I had earlier on, a trauma from hitting myself. I'm going to talk about this, right? So, an undiagnosed coccyx injury that I had since I was at the age of 7 made it difficult for me to sit down. And this finally went away with all of the work that I was doing. It finally went away. So um, I felt physically improved, my mood improved, I was better to cope with. Um, I knew what I was coping with, so I can navigate it better. My outlook changed because I was actually seeing results. This is a huge one because many people will spin and tread their tires, tread their wheels because they're not sure if what they're doing is working. They saw something this month, but not next month. Nothing has been happening. I started seeing things with more clarity. That was my experience when I was doing the work and the experiences that my clients themselves were talking about too. And so I wanted to learn even more. You know what I mean? I wanted to learn more. And so I was going through my process of natural medicine and, looking for the people that were going to support me. And I also wanted to share. So I started going to women's groups and postpartum groups and mothers groups and all of these different things with other women who looked like me. And I took some classes, but it was very boring. It was extremely boring. For me, it was boring because just of where my mind was, what I was aiming towards doing and what I wanted to do. And so I had to keep searching. And so I kept searching for more. I kept looking for more ways to do the work. I kept looking for more ways to, integrate therapy so I can understand um, how to navigate myself and how to be that gatekeeper for other women who needed this kind of direction. And so I realized that there are so many Black women with different experiences in the healthcare like I have had and desire for that enlightenment. And so this is where we are right now. I also recognize that there's a lot of information out there to be exposed to, and I wanted to learn everything. Yeah, you know what I mean? And it took me over a decade to gain the information that I've been infusing into this program here. So if you want to do this work, you need to understand that it's deep work. Okay. And it takes a while to learn and integrate it and embody it. Because that's the difference with a lot of these other programs where you're joining these programs, you're joining these courses. That's really what it is that we're joining. And it's giving you content, but it isn't a curriculum. It isn't helping you to integrate the knowledge. It isn't helping you to actually embody it. So it becomes a part of your everyday. It isn't just information that you read and you regurgitate to your clients or you regurgitate to yourself or to your doctor. You know what I mean? Or you join this program and you've got all these things to do for your own health and wellness and you're not applying any of the principles. This is not what this program is about. Okay, this is a 6-month incubator. It's a curriculum-based weekly program where we meet up and everything is dripped to you. You receive the information based off of what you've completed, not because you want to get access to the information. And so if your goal is to improve your own quality of life, If your goal is to learn how to support your clients when they're frustrated, if you don't have any clients, but you just want to improve your quality of life and you're frustrated, this is for you. This is for you to, if you are looking to understand deeply what's happening to your own body so you can help yourself. You want to be able to prevent women from unnecessary surgery. You want to empower women to speak up with their primary care physician without fear. You want to have the accountability to sit with the things that you need to do. Then I want to invite you to DM the word healing so that we can discuss your personal situation and if this is a right fit for you. I would love to have that conversation. So I will be waiting to hear from you. Take care and